Story 1. After graduating from college, I was practically broke. I had no choice but to rent a cheap apartment, the kind where you have to share a room with a stranger to cut costs. My roommate's name was Randall, a name I'd never heard before, and of course I had never met him. At first, Randall seemed pretty normal, quiet, calm, and spoke English with a thick Spanish accent. Nothing unpleasant, but not friendly enough to put you at ease either. We exchanged a few polite words on the first day. I spent most of my time unpacking in the room the landlord had said was fully furnished. The room seemed fine. A single bed pushed against the wall, a wardrobe, an old TV stand, and the strangest thing, a neat row of stuffed animals lined up on the shelf as if someone had deliberately tried to create a childlike atmosphere. Among them, a large teddy bear sat in the middle, its round face staring straight at my bed. I chuckled. It felt a bit childish, but shrugged it off. Who cares about a few stuffed animals? That first night, I was lying on the bed watching TV when I heard a faint sound. Click. Very short, very soft, like the sound of a small electronic switch or device powering on. I figured it was just some random noise from the old house, creaking wood, electrical buzz, nothing unusual. But it happened again the second night, and the third, and each night the sound became more distinct. I started to feel uneasy. Everything escalated when Randall suddenly asked me, "Is the book you're reading any good?" I froze. I had never told him I was reading a book. In fact, I had hidden it carefully under the bed so no one would touch it. I asked, "How do you know I'm reading a book?" Randall just smiled, a smile that was anything but comforting, and answered with his heavy accent, "I forgot something in your room, went in to get it, saw it by chance." My room didn't have a lock. That meant any time I was out, he could go in and I wouldn't know. That night, I couldn't sleep. I started paying more attention to every detail in the room. My eyes stopped on the big teddy bear, still in the same spot, but this time, I felt like it was staring directly at me. A strange intuition hit me. My heart raced. I approached the bear, examined its plastic eyes carefully, and then I froze. Inside one of its eyes, I discovered a tiny hidden camera, expertly installed. Only someone deliberately searching would find it. My throat went dry. I hurled the bear into the corner of the room and rushed to Randall's door. I banged furiously, shouting his name. No answer. The room was pitch dark. I saw a faint light flicker under the door, then go out. He was inside. He knew I had found out, and he said nothing. I didn't wait another second. I called the landlord and reported everything. Thankfully, he was cooperative. I packed a few things and walked out of that house in the middle of the night, never looking back. I never saw Randall again. The landlord didn't ask any questions. No one ever asked me to pay for breaking the lease. Since that day, I've had a strange fear of stuffed animals. I can't sleep if any of them are facing me. I always feel like those plastic eyes might be watching, silently recording every moment, just like Randall once did. Story 2. My family used to live in a quiet, peaceful little neighborhood. Cute houses lined up close together, kids laughing and playing every weekend, the hum of lawnmowers filling the air. But one day, everything started to change when the Jeremy family moved in. It was a Saturday evening. The new family threw a backyard barbecue and invited the whole neighborhood. My parents, my little sister, and I went to meet them. They were a family of 3, a father, mother, and a boy around 15 or 16 named Jeremy. From the very first moment I saw Jeremy, something felt off. He stood silently in a corner of the yard, didn't speak, didn't smile, didn't make eye contact with anyone. His face was so expressionless I couldn't bear to look at him for long. But then when I turned away, I noticed he was staring right at me. It wasn't the curious look of a shy teenager. It was cold, empty, as if I were just some object to observe. I turned away, trying to ignore the unease building inside me. The next morning, I walked to school like usual. It was only a few blocks from home. I knew the way by heart. But that time, I had the strange feeling someone was following me. When I turned around, I caught a glimpse of a figure hiding behind a tree. I frowned, thinking maybe I was just imagining it. I picked up my pace, trying not to look back. But near the school, I couldn't help it. I glanced back again, and there was Jeremy, crouching behind some bushes, eyes fixed on me. It wasn't in my head anymore. I ran into the school without looking back. That night, I told my parents everything. At first, they thought I was overreacting, but when they saw me shaking and crying in fear, they went next door to talk. What Jeremy's mother said chilled me to the bone. "Jeremy isn't like other kids," she said calmly. No apology, no promise to watch him, no concern or clear explanation. My parents came back with only one piece of advice: just try to stay away from Jeremy. I started keeping to myself. I no longer studied on the porch. I didn't dare go outside alone. But the worst happened on a Tuesday night, a night I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Sometime around midnight, I was lying in bed scrolling through messages when I heard a noise at the window. I thought it was just the wind, but then the window began to slowly slide open, and someone was crawling into my room. It was Jeremy. He was holding a large knife. His eyes were as cold and lifeless as the first time I saw him. I screamed without thinking. Panic paralyzed me. My parents rushed in, turned on the lights, and we all saw the horrifying scene. Jeremy standing in the middle of my room, gripping the knife tightly, not saying a single word. My dad jumped in front of me while my mom, in tears, called the police. When the police arrived, they took Jeremy away, not to a police station, but to a mental health facility, or so they said. The Jeremy family moved out later that week, leaving behind an empty house and a rotting fence. But the thing that haunts me the most wasn't the knife. It wasn't even his dead-eyed stare. It was the fact that from the moment he was caught to the moment they took him away, Jeremy never said a single word. He just stood there, staring at me, like he always did. Since that day, I've never felt truly safe in my own home. I lock every window at night. I check the door 3 times before bed. I avoid talking to new neighbors, because I don't know how many more Jeremys are out there, hiding behind eyes that seem harmless but are anything but. Story 3. It was a typical Saturday night. My close group of friends and I hit the bar, like we always did on weekends. We drank, laughed, talked, and danced in the dim lights among the crowd. Music pounded. The energy was wild. Everything played out like a familiar routine, until I woke up the next morning with a strange tightness in my chest, like something had gone terribly wrong. I couldn't recall who I talked to. I vaguely remembered a few men coming over to chat, but I couldn't picture their faces, their voices. Everything after midnight was shrouded in a thick mental fog. I left the bar around midnight. My friends had already gone home with someone or been picked up. My place wasn't far, just a few blocks, so I decided to walk, like I often did after a night out. I didn't have a purse with me, so, like always, I used the spare key hidden under the flower pot outside my door. I thought I was being clever, just in case something like this happened. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, locked it behind me, and went upstairs. No shower, no changing. I just wanted to crash. My phone still had battery, so I texted a few friends to see who was still awake. I was drifting off when I heard a click at the front door. I froze. Hadn't I locked it? Then slow, deliberate footsteps came from the stairs, heavy and clear. I shot upright. My hands trembled as I texted my younger brother. His room was downstairs. "Did you just get home? Was that you at the door?" The reply came quickly. "No, I'm sleeping." "Why? Did you open the door?" My blood turned to ice. Only the 2 of us were home. Our parents were away for the weekend. So who was walking up the stairs? I grabbed the flashlight from my desk, but I didn't need it. My bedroom door slowly creaked open. I tried to steady my voice and called out, "Lamb, is that you?" No answer. No retreating footsteps. Just a suffocating silence. I couldn't see clearly who was standing there. Only a tall, unmoving silhouette in the corner of my room, as if he'd been standing there for a long time. Panic hit me. I dropped my phone. I screamed. My brother woke up and rushed into my room, turning on the lights, and in the harsh brightness, we saw him. A wild-eyed stranger, hair disheveled, standing in my room. He flung the door open, dashed down the stairs, and vanished before we could stop him. The police came soon after. They searched the entire house, asked every question. No broken windows, no signs of forced entry, no tampered locks. Then, one officer found something inside the front door lock. A key. The spare one I had hidden under the flower pot. I was stunned. That meant he had followed me from the bar. He saw me take the key, and after I fell asleep, he quietly let himself in, stepped into my room, and watched me like a living shadow. I can't describe how that felt. It was fear, it was violation. It was the sense of being watched, stalked, and never realizing it. Since that night, I never go to bars alone again. I never hide a spare key outside, and I never feel truly safe, even in my own home, because all it takes is one careless moment for him to get in.